Good evening, right? So last class we were discussing some problem based on real depth and apparent depth, right? So this class will start with the next subsequent topic that is called as refraction at spherical surface. Okay. So till now we were discussing what will happen when the refraction is taking place at a plane boundary. So the ray will either bend towards the normal or away from the normal. That purely depends on whether it is traveling from rarer to denser or denser to rarer. Now what we are going to discuss is if the plane boundary is replaced with a spherical boundary, then how do we account that for the refraction at that particular surface? Okay, so let's say this is the center of curvature, mu1, mu2. Okay, mu1 and mu2. There is the denser medium and there is the rarer medium. So let's say an object is placed here. Okay, and the ray is going to hit this surface at this point. Now, through the center of curvature, or the normal passing to the point of incidence. So this is going to be the actual path. So let me label them. This is the normal. This is the actual path, right? Now what will happen when the ray is moving from denser to rarer? It starts bending away from the normal. Let's say it has got bent in this way and the image is formed here. So O stands for the position of object and I stands for the position of image. Okay. Now, the angle between the incident ray and the normal is what we call it as angle of incidence. The angle between the normal and refracted ray is what we call it as the angle of refraction. Okay, this is what we call it as the angle of refraction. Okay. Now, I will take this angle as alpha, this as beta, and this as theta. Right. So when I take them to be like this, the distance from the pole to this point is called as the object distance. The distance from the pole to the center of curvature is called as the radius of curvature. The distance from the pole to the image position of image is what we call it as the image distance. Okay. So with respect to this derivation, there are two important points to be noted. First thing is rays are paraxial. You already know what will happen when rays are paraxial. And the second is aperture of the surface is very less. Okay. Having said these 2 points, we are going to derive a relation between mu1, u, r, v, and mu2. Okay. So let's get started. Let me say this point is A. Now, if I take the triangle AOC, this is alpha, this is beta, this is I. So what is the relation between all the three? Beta will be equal to alpha plus I, because exterior angle is equal to sum of the opposite interior angles. So I will be equal to beta minus alpha. Let me call this as equation number 1. Right? Now, if I take the bigger triangle A, O, and I, This angle will be here. This is R. This is alpha. And this is theta. So tell me the relation between all the three angles. Tell me the relation between
Alpha
all the
plus
three angles.
theta is equal to gamma.
Not gamma, it is R, angle of refraction.
Sorry.
No problem. So R is equal to alpha plus theta. So this will be 2. Okay. Now, applying Snell's law, at the point of incidence. So when I apply Snell's law at the point of incidence, what am I going to get? I'll get mu1 into sin I is equal to mu2 into sin R. When that is the case, I can write mu1 into I is equal to mu2 into R. Why? Since angles are small. So how did I conclude that the angles are small? Because the rays are paraxial. So I can write mu1 into I is beta minus alpha is equal to mu2 into R is alpha plus theta. So from this I can write mu1 into tan beta minus tan alpha is equal to mu2 into tan alpha plus tan theta, because it's the same approximation. The angles are small. Hence, I took the approximation into consideration that sin beta can be approximated to tan beta or sin beta. So mu1 into, since I told the aperture is very small, I can say that this is I can say that this is 90 degrees. When that is 90 degrees, tell me what is tan theta equal to? Tan theta will be, if I take this point as P, tan theta will be equal to AP divided by V. Similarly, what is tan alpha equal to? Tan alpha will be equal to AP divided by 1 minute. The diagram got disturbed.
By U, right?
Yes. You only, but the diagram got disturbed, so I wanted to make it clear. Tan beta equal to, I wrote alpha, right, before this. So tan alpha is equal to AP divided by, it is U only, but when you write this, put a sign convention. So AP divided by minus U. Similarly, what about tan beta? It will be AP divided by minus R. Okay. So having said this, what is tan theta? AP by minus R minus tan alpha is AP by minus U is equal to mu2 into AP divided by minus U plus what is tan theta? That is AP divided by V. So what gets cancelled? AP is gone. So mu1 by minus R plus mu1 by U is equal to minus mu2 by U plus, wait. I think I made a mistake. Beta is equal to alpha plus I. No, there is some mistake. Yes. So there is a mistake. I should have not taken triangle AOI. I should have taken the triangle ACI. This is C, and this should have been beta. When this is beta, observe guys, observe the mistake. So beta plus theta will be equal to R. So in the place of R, I can write beta plus theta. This will be tan beta plus tan theta. So this will be AP divided by minus R. So this will give me mu2 divided by minus R. This will be mu2 by V. So what I did is, see, I have to explain this to you. R is here, right? So R is included in this triangle. That is why I should not taken AOI, I should have taken ACB. So wherever there was alpha on the right hand side, I replaced it with beta. When I replace with beta, I get minus R. So it is going to be I get mu2 divided by minus R. So I hope it is clear, right? So bring this mu2 by R this side and take the mu1 by V to U to the other side. You will get mu2 minus mu1 divided by R is equal to mu2 by V minus mu1 divided by U. And this is what happens for the refraction at spherical surface. So please write it down. So I want everybody to write this, especially by drawing and writing it, because it's a very, very important derivation. Ensure you're doing it, and if there is any doubt, get it clarified. Done?
So can you scroll up a little bit? Yes, I
So while
just can
writing,
you scroll down.
see, while writing, just take a minute time to understand and write. Don't copy it. Just like that. Done? Done, guys?
Yes, sir.
Right. Next. Next, we will see refraction by lens. After this, we will do some problems. So the refraction by lens, we are going to derive a formula called as lens we are going to derive something called as lens maker's formula. Okay. So here, what does basically lens mean? Lens is basically a refracting surface with at least one of the surfaces being spherical in nature. Say I'm removing someone whose name is not there, guys. Right. So here we will be discussing about lens. The lens is something, a device. It's a refracting surface with at least one of the surface being spherical in nature. Okay. Now, I'm going to explain this concept with the help of the diagram from your textbook. So what is the name of this lens that you have here? This is a double. Yes, you can call it as biconvex or a double convex lens. So it is basically a refracting material where it has two curved surfaces. Right, it has two curved surfaces, which I number them as 1 and 2. So if I take the first refracting surface, observe this. If I take the first refracting surface like this, then if I take a point object which is placed here, right? So this medium is mu1 and mu2. So what is going to happen is the ray from the first medium is going to travel like this. It is hitting the lens at it is hitting the spherical surface at this point. At this point, I am drawing the normal, right? Let's say this distance is r1, right? And this is going to be the actual path. The ray is traveling from rarer to denser medium. So when it is traveling from rarer to denser, what is going to happen? It will start bending it will start bending towards the normal. So when it starts bending towards the normal, let's say one of the refracted rays is like this. If I consider the other refracted ray along the principal axis itself, it goes undeviated, accepted. Right, because the angle of incidence here is 0 degrees and the angle of refraction will also be 0 degrees. So they both will meet at point I1. So here I want to stress on one important point. Listen. If the object is placed here, it is going hitting the surface at this point. At this point, if I take the normal, right, and the ray bends towards the normal. Okay, if I take this as a line which is parallel to the surface, parallel to the principal axis, the ray can actually bend in this path also. You're able to understand? Similarly, the other ray, I can take it like this. So the refracted ray will be in this way. So if I take this as the first refracted ray and this as the second refracted ray, will they meet at any point? Is there a possibility for them to meet?
No, sir.
Right. So then what is going to happen? There is a possibility
Virtual
that
image.
there is a possibility of virtual image also. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell here is, in your textbook, whatever diagram is considered is an approximate one. So it is only an assumption. There is a reason why they have taken it like this. If I1 is taken as the image, this image is assumed to be formed inside the glass medium in such a way that the image formed due to the first refracting surface will start behaving like the object for the second refracting surface. Am I clear? Right? This I1 is assumed to be the image formed due to the first refracting surface, and it is only an assumption. Right? Now listen. The image formed due to the first refracting surface will act as the object for the second refracting surface. So when that is the case, derivation is very simple, but you need to understand the logic. So it is assumed that the image is formed here. Okay. This is mu1, this is mu2. If the ray is taken like this, at this point you have the center of curvature. The ray will travel like this. Right. Now what will happen? The ray is traveling from rarer to denser medium. When it is traveling from rarer to denser, it starts bending towards the normal. So when it starts bending towards the normal, I am assuming that the final image is formed here. So this is my assumption. I don't know how much the ray has got bent, but I'm sure of the fact that the ray will start bending towards the normal. So this is the actual path. And this is the refracted ray. Does it make sense? Right. According to my logic, the image is formed here. But look at the way they have drawn the diagram. They have told that the image is formed here. Okay, it's their way of assuming, because what they're trying to say is you're able to see that the ray has got bent twice. Okay, they're trying to say that the ray has got bent, one due to the first refracting surface and second due to the second refracting surface. So instead of the image being formed here, they're trying to say the image is formed before itself. Okay, that is the meaning of the second ray diagram. Am I clear with these 2 points? Are you able to understand? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what is happening? What is this? An accurate diagram or an approximate diagram? So this is an approximate diagram where we will be applying the formula for the refraction at spherical surfaces. So when you apply the formula for refraction at spherical surfaces, what is going to happen is what we are going to see now. For that, I'm going to copy these diagrams. Just give me a second. Now listen. So this is the refraction at first spherical surface. So what is the formula for refraction at spherical surface? Something by V minus something by U is equal to something divided by R. I'll tell you how to remember. V is there, right? V is image. So you should write the refractive index in the you should write the refractive index in the numerator of the medium in which the image is formed. So in this case, if this is mu1 and this is mu2, the image is formed in the medium mu2, and for you will write it as mu1. Okay, right hand side, first refractive index minus second. It is mu2 minus mu1 divided by R. Clear? But I always keep telling you one thing, that you need to apply sign convention when you're deriving something. But here I didn't apply any sign convention because I will apply sign convention by, see, actually what is happening, I'm not deriving a formula. I am applying a formula here, correct? So when I'm applying a formula, I would have applied sign convention only if it was a sure shot diagram. But this itself is an approximate diagram, right? In a similar way, this divided by V minus this divided by, actually one correction. If I call this distance as V1 and this distance as U, okay, the correction I need to make here is something divided by V1. Okay. So remember the formula, something divided by image distance minus something divided by object distance, that is mu1, so V1 will be equal to something divided by the radius of curvature. So here, if you observe, the radius of curvature of the first surface is taken as R1, the radius of curvature of the second surface is taken as R2. Okay, so what should I write in the numerator of V? Where is the final image formed? This is mu2 and this is mu1. So where is the final image formed? It is formed in mu1. And where is the initial object placed?
Mu2.
It is in mu2. So what should I write on the right hand side? Mu1 minus mu minus mu2 divided by R2. Here also, if you observe, I didn't apply sign convention at all. So mu2 by V minus mu1 by V1 is equal to mu2 minus mu1 by R1, and mu1 by V minus mu2 by V1 is equal to mu1 minus mu2 by R2. Now what I will do, I will add both the equations so that what is going to get cancelled? Sorry guys, I'm sorry. Mu2 divided by V1. So that is the image minus mu1 divided by U. So here also it is mu2. Now tell me, what should I do to both? When I add them, I get mu1 by V minus mu1 by U is equal to mu2 minus mu1 into, I'll get this 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. So if I take out mu1 common, I get 1 by V minus 1 by U is equal to mu2 minus mu1 divided by mu1 into 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. So 1 by V minus 1 by U is 1 by F. According to Lenz's formula, this will be equal to mu2 divided by mu1 minus 1 into 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. And this whole formula is what we call it as Lenz Maker's what I call it as lens maker's formula, because this is the formula that is used depending on the power of each ice. So what is 1 by f? 1 by f is power. You would have learned in the
Power.
lower grades. Yes. So 1 by f is equal to mu2 divided by mu1 minus 1 into 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2. But remember, while applying lens maker's formula, not only lens maker's formula, for that matter, any formula you're applying, you need to apply sign convention. Are you guys convinced with the fact that why did I apply sign convention for the refraction at spherical surface in this case? Because it is an approximate diagram. So whichever is unknown, you should not apply sign convention to it. That is a thumb rule while solving problems. Okay, and this is a very, very, very important formula. Not only in the theory part, even Viva, many questions will be asked based on this. When you do experiments based on lens. Right? So having all these things in mind, let me do 2-3 problems that are based on this concept. Okay, so shall we try some problems? So problems based on lens maker's formula. Did you guys make a note of it? 1 by f is equal to mu2 divided by mu1 minus 1 into 1 by r1 minus
1 by r2.
minus 1 by r2. Okay, I'm going to explain how to use that formula. The radius of curvature of each face of a biconvex lens. So the radius of curvature of each face of a biconvex lens 1.5. Sorry, the radius of curvature of each face of a biconvex lens of refractive index. So refractive index of glass, that is mu2 is 1.5 and mu1 is 1. Then what about R? R is 30 centimeter. Calculate the length of lens in air. Sorry, calculate the focal length, not length. Calculate the focal length of the lens in air. So f is equal to what? Shall we start? What is the formula? 1 by f is equal to mu2 divided by mu1 minus 1 into 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2. Guys, listen to this carefully. How did I choose mu2 as 1.5? Mu2 in the formula is always the refractive index of the refracting material. Here, which material is adding to the refraction? It is the glass, the material with which that lens is made up of. Okay, so R1 and R2 are same. So if I take it like this is R1 and this is R2. Right? R1 is plus 30, R2 is minus 30. Right? I will take this and substitute it in the formula. 1 by f will be equal to mu2 is how much? 1.5 divided by 1 minus 1 into 1 by R1 is 1 by 30 minus 1 by minus 30. So 1.5 by 1 is 3 by 2 minus 1, which is going to be half 2. This is going to be 2 by 30. 2 and 2 will get cancelled. You get 1 by 30. So 1 by f is equal to 1 by 30, which implies focal length is equal to plus 30 centimeter. If you observe here, generally, you take lengths into consideration, right? What do you think is the relation between focal length and radius of curvature?
Half.
It is going to be half, right? But here, what are we getting? You're getting
The same.
the same as radius of curvature, because here the aperture and all those things are taken into consideration. Aperture is big, so you cannot do that approximation. Are you able to understand? Minus 30, yeah. So it should be plus 30. Oh, sorry. There's a biconcave. Yo. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll make it plus 30. I'll change the question. It is biconvex. Had it been biconcave, I hope you guys can solve it now, right? R1 and R2 both would have, R1 would have been negative, R2 would have been positive. Guys, give me a confirmation. Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? Yeah, good. So this is the first problem. I'll give you 1 minute time. Try the second problem and tell me what is the answer if it is matching with whatever is given. So radii is the plural of radius. Radii of curvature of the faces of a double convex lens are 10 centimeter and 15 centimeter. If the focal length is 12 centimeter, what is the refractive index of the glass?
Sir, I'm getting 1.5. 3 by 2.
Correct on here.
Yes, sir, 3 by 2.
You took the proper sign convention. So focal length of a convex lens is positive. R1 is positive.
First and R2 is negative.
So 15 centimeter is negative. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it
So
will be 1 by 10
you
plus
have
1
got
by 15.
mu minus 1 into 1 by 10 plus 1 by 15. Correct? So 25 by 150. So 1 by 12 is equal to mu minus 1 into 25 by 150. This goes 6 times. Cancel it 2 times. So 1 plus half is 3 by 2, which is 1.5. Correct. Try the next one. Biconvex lens has a focal length 2 by 3 times the radius of curvature of either surface. So what are they trying to say is either surface has the same radius of curvature r. So f is equal to 2 by 3 times r. Calculate the refractive index of the material. So whenever they say refractive index of the material, outside material is assumed to be 1. So 1 by f, that is 3 by 2r is equal to mu minus 1 into 2 by r. So r and r will get cancelled. Mu minus 1 is equal to 3 by 4. So mu is equal to 7 by 4. 7 by 4 is 1.75. Did you understand what I did?
Yes, sir.
So try the next one. Okay, leave the next one. Don't let's not get into tricky ones as of now. Try the fifth one. So what is the answer, guys?
So if it's
Is it
plano
matching?
convex, then it will be infinity, right?
Plano convex means something like this.
So
Plano
one.
convex.
So
So
for one
R1,
side, it will be infinity, right? The
infinity.
R1 is infinity.
Yes. R1 is infinity. R2 will be.
So 1 by infinity will become just 0.
Yeah.
So yes, sir, I'm getting 15
0.15.
centimeters. 15 cent.
So 1 by F, 1 by 0.3. 1 by 0.3 is 10 by 3 is equal to mu minus 1, that is 0.5 half into 1 by infinity minus 1 by r. So there's 0. 20 by 3 is equal to 1 by r, which implies r is equal to 3 by 20, 0.3, so 0.15. Correct? So 0.15 meter is right. Sixth one. Okay. Sixth one is a convex lens of focal length 0.2 meter and made of glass is immersed in water of refractive index 1.33. So mu2 is how much?
Mu2 is 1.33,
Mu,
right?
no,
Yeah,
mu2
glass
is
is the refracting thing, so it will be mu.
yes,
So
mu2 is the
1.3.
refractive index of the refracting medium. So this is mu2. This is mu1. They're asking what is the change in focal length. Be careful, guys. A convex lens of focal length 0.2 is made of glass. So initially, it has a focal length of 0.2. Now, when it is immersed in water, its focal length is going to change. So they're asking, by what value does it change? So it's very simple, okay? 1 by 0.2 is equal to 1.5 minus 1 is 0.5 into 2 by r. Did you understand what I did? 1 by f is equal to mu2 by mu1 minus 1 into 1 by r1 plus 1 by r2. Right? It becomes 2 by r. Now, this is case number 1. What about case number 2? 1 by f will be equal to 1.5 by 1.3 minus 1 or 1.33 minus 1 into 2 by r. Is that clear? So 1.5 is 3 by 2. 1.33 is 4 by 3 minus 1 into 2 by r. So this will be 2. Now divide both so that 2 by r will get cancelled. You will get the final focal length. Once you get the final focal length, from that subtract 0.2, that will give you the change. Okay. So check this and tell me if the answer is matching. Okay. Eighth one. Nicholas, is answer matching?
I think I did some calculation mistake, sir. But
Illa, see, very simple. Okay. One by 0.2 is equal to 1 point. So that is 0.5 into 2 divided by R. This is 1. Correct? Similarly,
sir.
1 by F is equal to 3 by 2 divided by 4 by 3. 3 by 2 divided. So it will be 9 by 8 minus 1. That is 1 by 8 into 2 by R. This is 2. So I'll divide 1 with 2. I'll get F divided by 0.2 is equal to 0.5 divided by 1 by 8. That is going to be 4. Correct?
Yes.
0.5. So F will be equal to 4 into 0.2 is 0.8. So 0.8 minus already existing 0.2 will be 0.6. So 0.6 is approximately 0.5.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yes,
fine.
sir. Yes, sir. I understood. now, sir.
So one last problem for the day. Make it fast. If the refractive index from air to glass is 3 by 2 and that of air to water is 4 by 3, find the ratio of the focal length of glass lens in water and in air. Refractive index from air to glass is 3 by 2. So refractive index of glass is 3 by 2. Refractive index of water is 4 by 3. Find the ratio of the focal length of glass lens in water and in air. So one by focal length in air is equal to refractive index of glass by refractive index of air minus 1 into 2 by R. So 1 by FW is equal to refractive index of glass by refractive index of water minus 1 into 2 by R. So what did they ask? Find the refractive index of, find the focal length of glass lens in water to air. So FW by FA is what I need. So you need to divide the first with second. So FW by FA will be equal to mu G minus 1, that is going to be half divided by mu G by mu W is going to be how much? Mu G is 3 by 2, mu W is 4 by 3. So 9 by 8 minus 1, that is going to be 1 by 8. 2 by R will get cancelled. You will get 4 by 1. Is that the answer?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's the answer. So you get the answer as 4:1. Am I clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Right? So this is how you solve problems based on lens maker's formula. Right? So the next class, we are going to discuss problems based on lens and then we'll solve. After that, I have some important points to tell you with respect to lens maker's formula. You first revise them today. Ensure you're practicing all the derivations. Okay. Problems I'll take care. You need to be strong with the derivations. So ensure you're practicing. And in tomorrow's class, we'll proceed with lens form. Okay. So that's it from my side for today. Okay. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.